Hey everyone, I hope everyone is having a great day. Thanks for coming back to, learn a little bit more about my journey and where I am in life. For anybody that's new to this channel, basically about 6 months ago, both my daughter and I were diagnosed really unexpectedly with celiac disease. So this is kind of our story of how we found out and, what we're doing going forward and everything along those lines. So in my previous video, I talked about really how we found out. And then today I'm going to get a little bit more in depth as far as exactly what is celiac disease and, kind of what to be on the look for and everything like that. So it's pretty extensive, so I might, kind of break it up into a couple videos, but today I just really wanted to explain about it. Prior to this, I didn't really have, I'd heard about it, and, it was definitely something that I knew existed, but I didn't know, I guess, the extent of it. I think a lot of times too, just with the whole, gluten, I don't want to say hype, but it's definitely much more heightened now as far as, people watching it and not consuming it. And it was kind of, I guess, hard for me to know, like, what is the difference? Like, okay, is it really a real sickness or as an illness, or exactly what is it? So the difference between celiac disease and an intolerance is celiac disease is an actual autoimmune disorder that is created when there is a consumption of gluten. So people that have celiac disease, essentially, their body thinks that gluten is essentially a foreign invader. So at that point, the antibodies kind of freak out and they attack not only the gluten particles coming in, but they also attack the rest of the person's body. So, the body just goes into a total defense place basically and does an all-around attack of the body. So this can lead to a lot of issues for people, and it actually it's a serious autoimmune disorder that doesn't go away. It's something that you will always have. There will be times that it, especially if you are just exposing the gluten and you don't know, there's going to be situations where it's going to be a lot worse in life. This is what they would call a silent disease, and the reason why is many people have celiac disease and don't know it. There are so many side effects of celiac. It's like 140 or something like that could just fall in line with anything. It could be upset stomach, it could be bloating, gas, indigestion, headache, things along those lines. And as we all know, that can fall under 50 other things. And I think a lot of times that doctors will kind of just put a band-aid, like, oh, okay, well, let's just treat you with acid reflux medicine instead of really, kind of diving deep of what's going on. So what this does is it causes like a chain reaction in the body. And not everybody has the same reaction. So again, it's really hard to pinpoint. And some people, it takes years and years and years and years to find out. In my previous video, I kind of talked about my battle previously, that it's been, I can remember as young as 5, 4 having symptoms, but, we didn't know what it was. We just thought it was, just more intense bone pain than, I guess, the average child. So, I went 31 years without really knowing what was really going on. So, I feel lucky that we found out with my daughter when she was 7. So this is something that she will know. And, she's going to, that's all she's going to know. basically. So we're already kind of getting her into that, transition of life and, life going forward. So anyways, what I wanted to do is I actually, when I first found out about this, I was watching a girl on YouTube. I have to find her, but she did a great, I'm going to put her down in the comments because you should totally check her out. She's just hilarious. But she did a great depiction of what celiac really is. And I just had, when she did it, it just gave me so much more of a better understanding than any doctor had given me. So I just kind of wanted to share what that is. So forgive my scientific drawings here. I just wanted to show you. So essentially, like I talked about, the gluten attacks the small intestine for people with celiac disease. So in a normal small intestine, this is, I guess, kind of what it would look like. So you have your small intestine, and what these are is these are in the small intestine, and they are long finger-like projections in the small intestine. If you were to take a microscope and look, deep down in there, this is what they would look like. So these finger-like projections, basically what these are is going to be all the minerals, vitamins, and nutrients from your food to be absorbed into your body and your bloodstream. So basically what they would do is they would, they kind of like grab the nutrients and pull these into your bloodstream so that they can go to all the appropriate places in your body. So these are called villi, and these again are the long finger-like projection, things in the small intestine that go and take all the minerals and are able to absorb it into the body. So these are extremely important for anyone to have. We all have them, but to be in great working order, because as you can see, like, this has so much to do with the absorption piece, and malnutrition is a huge part of people with celiac disease. So this is kind of what a normal intestine would look like. When you're looking at someone with celiac disease, this would be what their small intestine looks like. So this is the villi in a person with celiac disease. So you can definitely see the difference. There is the normal small intestine, and then with celiac disease. So what happens is the actual gluten goes in and it attacks the small intestine and the villi. So it essentially kind of like kills the villi off. And what it does is it takes those long finger-like projections and makes them flat or just little wavy like this, and they can't grab onto any of the minerals or nutrients or vitamins for the absorption into the bloodstream. You might get like one or two little floaters that come through, but compared to, what the normal intestine would bring in, this is far, 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 far less than what someone should be getting. So the great thing about the small intestine, which is amazing, is it will heal itself, which is amazing. So the only way that it can really go and heal itself is if you pull yourself 100% off gluten. It's something like 1/10 of a teaspoon. If someone with celiac consumes it like that, can completely put their body into a total fight response. Now, of course, when I was gorging out on pastas and breads and beer and everything before I knew, it was just like the day-to-day norm. Like, my stomach was just always upset, and I just, again, like, figured that's how it was. That was just my daily. But now that I've pulled it, I've probably been off for probably almost 2 months. It hasn't been that difficult because there is so many options for food and different things that you can kind of substitute for things that you loved previously. And I'll talk about that in another video because there's just so many great things that you can have. But I have had a couple incidents since then where I had gluten that I accidentally consumed. There was some cross-contamination issues in a restaurant where the server didn't tell me that, they were coated in flour and things like that. And it was crazy how quick and instantly I got really, really, really sick. And I felt like I was going to pass out and nauseous. And I went home and slept for 3 hours, and my stomach hurt for 2 days. And it was just so crazy because I saw what an impact it had, when I reintroduced that food again. So celiac disease is a genetic disorder. So it is passed down from generation to generation. They are seeing more and more of it, and I'll talk more about that, but a lot of it has to do with the changes that they've made in our products, in gluten, and kind of how they have really kind of manipulated food a lot, and our bodies are not happy about it, and they know it, and I see this coming. A lot more people are going to have this, from my opinion. So the thing too with celiac is once that you're diagnosed with it, kind of depending on your age, especially the older you get, the more likelihood that there will be a link with another serious condition. So with myself, I have several actually. I have hypothyroidism, which I found out probably about 2 years ago that my thyroid was jacked up. And I also have epilepsy. And epilepsy is something that you would never think, but it is 100% linked to celiac disease. It does so much with the neurological pathways in the brain, and it can cause epilepsy. And it's crazy because I have talked to so many doctors, and I have, had different neurologists all through since I've had my seizures. I had my first one at 14, and it was like nobody even thought about celiac. It wasn't even a topic, and I didn't even find out about the link until I actually got a naturopath, which I'll talk about too later, but he saved my life, and he opened my eyes up to so many things that I didn't ever even know or link or anything. So there is a really good chance that if you do have celiac disease, that you do have other either undiagnosed or you have other conditions. So thyroid issues is one of them. Another one that I had forever, I've had low iron and anemia issues. Also to early onset of osteoporosis, and a lot of that again has to do with the absorption of the minerals into the bones. If they're not getting what they're supposed to, you're not going to have the strong bones that you should be. So a lot of people that have osteoporosis at the end of the day find out that they had celiac disease for all these years, and it was just never looked at deeper. So that would be one. A huge one is infertility and miscarriage, and it's so crazy and upsetting to think about. And I have been blessed with 2 beautiful daughters, and we were so lucky that we did not come across those issues. But there are so many women that have so much trouble conceiving and so much trouble, with fertility issues or multiple miscarriages, and it's devastating. And then come to find out, these women had celiac disease all along, and they were not able to carry, the fetus to full term, or whatever it may be, because it wasn't receiving the minerals that and vitamins and nutrients and everything that it should have. So if any of you out there have had any infertility issues or multiple miscarriages, absolutely ask about this. Just ask. Just say, hey, is it possible that I can maybe get tested for this? Because so many, again, people overlook it, and it gets missed. And people go through all these IVFs and all these things, and like that piece is never looked at, and there's can't be the success because the actual nutrition that the fetus needs, that they don't receive it. So absolutely look into that if that's something that you're suffering with. Another is going to be your vitamin and your mineral deficiencies, which again, I had the magnesium and the iron, and so did my daughter, which all correlate with the bone. And also different type of central nervous disorders, and they're also now linking things like anxiety and depression to celiac as well, because if you think about it, if you're not getting the proper minerals and things absorbed into the blood, the brain isn't getting fed the way that it needs to, and there will be issues that arise from it, and they are linking to that as well. So you know, if there is a parent that has celiac, there's a pretty good chance that one of their children may. I think it was something like 1 out of 5 or something like that. And then if a sibling has it, I think it's something like, I don't know, half a chance, 50% that their other sibling may. So only one of my daughters does have it, but you know, I kind of had to dive deep, like what side of my family was coming from, and it's something that we're still kind of looking into, but you know, it's good to know going forward. Also, I did find that I did have the predisposition for a gene. So my daughter that tested negative, I asked her pediatrician, I said, is it possible that she could test, you know, positive, or that this could happen to her when she gets older? And she said, absolutely. Since she has the gene disposition for it, and as do you, and her sister, you know, she can develop that at any time in her life. So it's definitely something that we, you know, need to keep an eye on. So, you know, basically, number one things that I would really look at if this is something that you feel that you may have, think about those side effects that you're having. Write them down. Think about like when you have them, if there's specific meals. And again, a lot of people don't get the upset stomach. Like maybe migraines is their thing, or maybe they have the bone pain, or maybe they feel disoriented. Like all of that, that's all symptoms. A really good organization is celiac.org. They're the actual Celiac Foundation, so they can list all the symptoms on there, or they do list all the symptoms on there. There's, I think, about 110 or 20 symptoms that you can have that directly are, you know, linked to celiac. But again, it's like the silent disease that can just, you know, you might not know that you have it for a really, really long time. It's scary too, because if you don't, you know, find this out for a really long time, it actually can lead to stomach cancers, or intestinal cancer or colon cancer, because, you know, the attack that it's doing on your system. So, you know, that's all that I really want to talk about today, was just really what celiac is, what it can do as far as the damage to your body, and what to look for. So my next video, I hope to get my daughter on here, my 7-year-old, and just kind of ask her some questions, and you know, talk about her feelings on everything, and kind of get child's eye insight on that. So definitely go ahead, leave me a comment, or you know, a message if you have any thoughts on it or questions or anything like that. And I look forward to talking with everyone soon. Have a great day.